Welcome to the Grace Period, where we get real about attorney mental health and well-being and pull back the veil on the high-stakes world of big law. I'm your host, Emily Logan Stedman, a commercial litigator, partner, and someone who believes that there's always room for a little more grace, even in a high-stakes profession. Here, I share real stories from my own journey in big law and invite you behind the scenes, beyond the billable hour, to talk about what it means to stay human, even in a demanding field. Whether you're a lawyer, a legal professional, or just someone trying to find your footing in a demanding profession, this space is for you. Let's pull back the curtain, start the conversation, and find our grace period together. Disclaimer, the views and opinions shared on this podcast are mine alone and do not necessarily reflect those of my firm or any organization. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not legal advice, and listening does not create an attorney-client relationship. Welcome to episode 54 of the Grace Period. I'm going to dive right into today's topic. If you're a lawyer or a high achiever in any profession, you probably recognize this drill or routine. You go along, you work hard, you ignore the warning signs, you power through, and you only pay attention to your well-being when something breaks, when the walls fall down, when a crisis hits. I've been there. Treating self-care like a fire extinguisher instead of a daily practice, reactive instead of proactive. Yes, responding to a crisis such as burnout or something even more serious is necessary. It's required. But that's not enough. Real change happens when we build habits that support our mental health and well-being, even on normal, calm, chill days, not just the hard ones. That's what builds sustainability, and that's what builds health, mental health, and well-being over time. Real mental health and well-being habits are not a once-a-year seminar or a spa day or a nap when you're burned out. It's something you do regularly, like a Sunday reset and check-in, a daily walk, or a scheduled time to call a friend. It's setting boundaries around your time, keeping an eye on your energy, making space for sleep and movement, even when you're busy. And no, it's not easy. I struggle with making time for these things every single day, but it's not about perfection. You'll miss days because your brain tells you don't need it that day, or because you're busy and have lots of demands on your time that day. But by aiming for daily, over time, you build a toolkit and a habit and a routine that you can come back to over and over again for both prevention and repair. So how do you start? Quite literally, pick one thing, one small thing that you can do daily, or maybe weekly to start. Maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes, reading 8 pages of a book, blocking time for lunch away from your desk, or doing a check-in with yourself on Sundays. Maybe tie it to something you already do. It could be reviewing your calendar and asking what would make this week feel more manageable. Track it for a day or two, a week or two. Notice how you feel, adjust as needed, and add things over time. Here's what helped me. 1, I have a recurring calendar reminder to do nothing for 2 minutes. I literally go to Google, enter 2-minute timer, hit start, and stand there and do nothing for 2 minutes. It's actually very difficult to just do nothing for 2 minutes. And this helps me just reframe my mind and know I don't always do it at the start of my day. Sometimes I forget and I do it in the middle of the day, or I do it at the end of the day before I leave for work. I also make white space or open times on my calendar non-negotiable, even if it's just for 15 minutes. And what really helps me with this is a tool in Outlook. Outlook has a focus tool, and if you turn it on, it looks ahead a week and puts focus blocks or do not disturb blocks on your calendar to protect open space for deep work and focus. It prevents people from, putting meetings on your calendar because it shows you as unavailable. And don't worry, you can delete, move them around, adjust them, make them longer or shorter. But that tool reminds me that I can't get real work done if I'm in meetings all day. I need to protect at least some time every week, if not every day, for deep work. More recently, I've started putting my workouts and daily meditations on my to-do list, on my daily time sheet right next to my billable work. Like it's literally on my billable timesheet recurring to-do list. Why? To remind me that I'm a whole human and I cannot do the billable work as best as I'd like if I'm not also taking care of myself. It is there for me to check the box and treat it just like I would business development and just like I would billable work. Again, you don't have to do it perfectly. You'll miss days. That's okay. What matters is building a habit, a routine, and a toolkit that you can come back to again and again, both when you're in crisis or feeling overwhelmed and as a method of prevention. If you're stuck in all or nothing thinking, if I don't do it today and I can't do it every day, why bother? Remember, and this is trite, but it is very true. It's about progress, not perfection. It's about sustainability, not one more expectation that you have to be perfect and do everything for everybody. Every habit and routine starts small. Start with 5 minutes a day. Legitimately use a timer and build from there, one day and even 1 minute at a time. This week, pick one thing to support your mental health. It does not matter how tiny it is. Make it doable. Make it something that works for you. Let it be enough. Do it again the next day and build and build and build from there. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Grace Period. Remember, you don't have to choose between your well-being and your ambition. By setting boundaries, building supportive habits, and giving yourself permission to pause, you can thrive in law and in life. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. That is the path to our grace period. Disclaimer, the views expressed here are solely my own and do not represent the official policy or position of my firm or any organization. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, not professional or legal advice. It does not create an attorney-client relationship.